Today, we're showing love to the cast of Sister, Sister, Then, and Now. A one-of-a-kind story of twin sisters who gave us double the laughter, double the lessons, and double the love. It's been 30 years since, as we look back on the heartbreaks, the healing, and the power of second chances. But here's the question. What happened to the faces we grew up with? Rocking with style is Tia Mowry as Tia Landry, a 16-year-old straight-A student who carried her books like a badge of honor and her dreams like a compass. Tia was the dependable one, the rule follower, the planner who had sticky notes for goals and a path that always seemed clear. Study hard, go to college, and make her mom proud. She was the twin who thought 2 steps ahead, the one who reminded everyone else of what mattered most. But here's the thing about being the responsible one. People start to treat you like you don't get tired, like you don't need help, like you've always got it under control. And maybe that's something you felt too, the pressure of being the good one, the student, the daughter, and the friend who always holds it together. But can I tell you a secret? It's okay to admit when you're tired. It's okay to say, I don't have it all figured out. Responsibility doesn't mean perfection. And it definitely doesn't mean ignoring your own needs. So to every young girl listening, yes, chase your dreams, but don't forget this, you deserve rest just as much as success. Lighting up every room is Tamara Mowry as Tamara Campbell. 16 years old, loud in her laughter, bold in her choices, and fearless in her energy. Tamara wasn't worried about perfection. She wanted to live, to dance, to laugh until her stomach hurt, to crush on boys, take chances, and let the world see her sparkle. But here's the catch. When you're the fun one, people sometimes write you off as careless, shallow, or immature. And maybe you felt that too, like people only see your joy, but not your depth. They don't see how much heart it takes to stay optimistic in a world that loves to criticize. They don't see how much strength it takes to be fully yourself without apology. So let me ask you, why should you dim your light just to make others comfortable? Tamara's story reminds us that fun doesn't mean foolish, and carefree doesn't mean careless. So to every teenage girl listening, your laughter is not a weakness. Your energy is not a flaw. Don't shrink. Don't silence yourself. Don't be afraid to show who you really are. True happiness is about breaking the rules and being yourself. Living the dream is Marques Houston as Roger Evans. 13 years old, bold in his crushes, messy in his approach, and stubborn in his pursuit. Roger didn't hide his feelings. He wore them on his sleeve, even when it meant being told, "Go home, Roger," on repeat. But truth be told, every boy knows what it feels like to want someone who doesn't want them back. It's awkward, it's embarrassing, it stings, but it's also part of growing up. Maybe you've been there too, chasing a girl who laughs you off or ignoring your effort. But guess what? That doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Rejection isn't a failure. It's a classroom. It's where you learn confidence, patience, and how to bounce back stronger. So to every teenage boy listening, don't be ashamed of wanting, of trying, of falling flat. That's the work every man has to put in before he finds his footing. Roger's story reveals that persistence isn't foolish, it's practice. And one day, the same courage that made you chase will be the courage that makes you dominant. Shining with power is Jackie Harry as Landry Sims. 38 years old, quick with her smarts, fierce in her love, and unstoppable in her hustle. Lisa wasn't just raising 2 daughters, she was raising herself too. Learning as she went, stumbling, laughing, and still showing up every single day. But here's the truth. Being strong doesn't mean you don't get tired, and maybe you felt that. Carrying the weight of everyone's needs while trying not to collapse under your own. People expect you to always have the answers, but who's there when you have the questions? Lisa's story reminds us that even the loudest laugh can come from a tired soul, and that's okay. To every mother listening, strength doesn't mean silence. Power doesn't mean perfection. You don't have to have it all together to be worthy of respect. You just have to keep standing, keep loving, and keep dreaming. Because toughness wrapped in sass is still strength. Holding it down is Tim Reed as Ray Campbell, 49 years old, sharp in his suit, steady in his discipline, and committed in his role as a father. Ray was the structure, the one who said no when it was easier to say yes, the one who balanced business with bedtime and discipline with love. But the fact is, being a strong black man isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about showing up, even when you're tired, even when you fall short, even when you don't have all the answers. Maybe you've been there too, caught between responsibility and temptation, carrying the weight of everyone's expectations while still battling your own weaknesses. Ray wasn't perfect. He stumbled, he cracked, he struggled with his own ego, but he never stopped being there. And maybe that's the point. Your family doesn't need a superhero. They need consistency. So to every black man out there, your presence is enough. Your effort is enough. Your love, even when it's imperfect, is the rock. Don't run from the responsibility. Just own it. Because in a world that counts us out, showing up is the loudest victory. Leading with fear is Bianca Lawson as Rhonda Coley, 16 years old, perfect on the outside and fragile on the inside. She lived to intimidate. She mocked, she rolled her eyes, she sneered at the twins, not because she was better, but because she needed to feel better. Every insult, every side eye, every snide laugh was her way of saying, "Don't look too close, don't see the cracks." And maybe you felt that too. Maybe you've been the guy who acted tough, loud, or cold because you were afraid of being seen as weak. But here's the plot twist. Hiding behind arrogance only makes you lonelier. Fear dressed up as confidence doesn't make you powerful, it makes you trapped. Rhonda's story insists that tearing someone else down never makes you stand taller. So to every young man listening, your strength isn't in control or intimidation. Respect comes when you face your own insecurities instead of covering them. Real confidence isn't about making others smaller. It's about standing in your truth, even when it shakes. Standing with purpose is Dorian Wilson as Terrence Winningham, 31 years old, and walking proof that charm and care can live in the same man. Terrence Winningham, the manager of the local Food Boy supermarket who was the love interest and long-suffering employer of Tia Landry, didn't have to play games to earn respect. He was funny, yes, but he was also responsible. He carried weight, but he carried it with humor. And that's what most young men miss. They think maturity makes life dull, but Terrence made maturity magnetic. So to every guy paying attention, how many connections have you lost, chasing thrill over composure? How many times have you confused being wanted for being valued? Terrence reminds us that the man who balances joy and responsibility wins every time. You don't have to silence your personality to be respected. You just need to own them while showing up when it matters. That's not weakness, that's manhood. And if you embrace it, you'll realize maturity isn't the end of freedom, it's the start of it. Owning her spot is Alexis Fields as Davian Johnson, 17 years old, young but wise, fierce but fun, dramatic yet dependable. Davian knew how to play the game, charming, confident, and the kind of girl who could turn a head without even trying. But here's the flip side. When you're bold like that, people will whisper, they'll twist your name, they'll make it sound like confidence is a crime. Maybe you've felt that too, like your boldness made you too much, or your mistakes erased your good intentions. Davian got it wrong sometimes, stepping on toes, blurring lines, even hurting people she cared about. But she didn't stay down. She showed up. She stayed real. She chose loyalty when it counted. That's what being young is: trial, error, and the courage to come back stronger. So to every teenage girl out there, don't let guilt define you, and don't let critics control you. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna make people mad. But if you learn, if you grow, if you keep your heart loyal, you're still winning. Keeping it cool is Rhonda Coley as Tyreek Scott. 21 years old, skilled with his hands, smooth in his voice, and loyal with his love. Tyreek wasn't the loudest in the room, but he didn't need to be. His actions did the talking. He worked, he showed up, and he stayed solid. From fixing cars at Ray Campbell's shop to chasing bigger dreams, Tyreek built himself piece by piece. He earned his GED, walked into the University of Michigan with the twins, and even picked up security jobs to keep hustling. And through it all, he was Tia Landry's boyfriend, the kind of young love that's sweet, messy, and memorable. But here's the tricky part. Being young and in love isn't easy. You stumble, you argue, you almost lose what you thought would last forever. Tyreek did. He hurt, he learned, and he came back stronger. That's what makes his story matter. Because mistakes, they're not the end, they're the test. So, to every young man listening, don't run from growth. Own it. Learn from it. That's how you become the man you're meant to be. Chasing the thrill is Dion Richmond as Jordan Bennett. 19 years old, cool on the surface, restless underneath, and stubborn in the way young men often are. He was Tamara Campbell's boyfriend and Tyreek Scott's best friend, which meant he stood in the middle of love and loyalty, both demanding in their own way. Jordan's charm made him easy to love, but his pride made him hard to handle. He could make Tamera laugh 1 minute and frustrate her the next. And maybe you've lived that too, loving someone so much, but not always knowing how to show it without letting your ego trip you up. That's the part no one tells you about young love. It will humble you. It will test your patience. So to every young king listening, love won't always be easy, but it's worth the work. Relationships teach you patience, maturity, and the art of showing up, even when it's hard. This marks the end of Sister Sister Cast, Then and Now 2025. A journey through laughter, awkward crushes, family bonds, and the lessons of growing up on screen. From glow-ups we didn't see coming to heartfelt shifts behind the spotlight, these cast transformations remind us that time doesn't just change us, it shapes us. But here's the question. Which moment from Sister Sister 1994 still sticks with you after all these years? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe for more trips down memory lane. This was Sister Sister Where Are They Now 2025. Until next time, live with courage, speak with truth, and love without fear.